Can we get Shannon on this later?
We have it.
No. She's on. She's on. Shannon, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Shannon.
Shannon, sorry for the delay.
No problem.
So I think the discussion y'all wanted to have was on compensation. So I don't know if, I think the city manager passed out information to you all on that, and if y'all want to review and I don't know if Bill has anything to discuss with that.
Go over any questions if you have. How you guys want to handle it?
What are the perks right now as a city council? What do we get?
Okay.
What do they get? Do y'all?
Go for it, ma'am.
Because I mean, that's one of the questions that we're saying. They get perks. I said, well, what perks?
It's not just the.
Well, it's not that they're perks, but you get insurance,
Health insurance,
health insurance.
at what cost?
To us, nothing.
For your families?
Well, you have to pay for your family.
Okay.
But it's nothing for us.
Okay.
And then I think we got $125 car allowance. Is that correct?
I think that's right, yes.
And then you got phone allowance.
How much? 50?
No, it was more than that.
Probably more than that. Calls it where you get those numbers.
Yeah, it was more than that. But I don't know how much that was.
That's more than the salary. Those two items.
Yeah, so I mean, when you look, especially at insurance,
Mm-hmm.
that's huge.
Amen.
I mean, and that was, when I came on, that was a pay raise for me.
Wow. Okay, so health insurance, car allowance, phone allowance, what else? That's it?
Do I recall back in the day, free postage, things like that?
No.
No.
Victor did that, but nobody else did.
What was that?
Free postage. Well,
But no.
City, it's supposed to be city business, but
yeah, it's supposed to only be city business.
Free parking?
So that's
Anything like that?
Well, we
All the
have
employees, all the employees have free parking.
Yeah.
We don't pay for parking.
It's a really nice parking space at the city center.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you.
Very nice parking spot.
But that's
Thanks, ma'am.
money.
Okay, that works, thank you. She doesn't have to split, Cheryl.
No, let it pay her.
The city picks up travel expenses on city business.
City business only.
Okay.
Well, we had,
No, I didn't.
depending on the council, their council sets it when, Tom Martin council, we had a $2,500 limit.
On what are y'all talking about, travel?
Travel expenses.
That one we look, and I will say on that one, we look at the budget every year. And, you know, depends on the council. We have a pretty busy council, but what we had done in the past was so much for council member, a little bit more for mayor. When it's legislative years, we put a little bit more. But that, right now, that's not a set policy. I mean, we don't have a policy in place. So I think last year we had it lumped or broken out, like it might have been $3,800 per council member and more for the mayor. And I think this year we're going to combine it, or we're recommending just combine it into one account. One lump, and it'll still show which council member
Sure.
it was expensed it, but you know, we're going to do one lump amount.
Yeah.
The travel related assistance.
Travel. That one is actually, right now it's under the city council budget because they approved that program, but city council does not. It's actually managed and expensed out of the city manager's office, the staff. They are the ones that run that program and make all the decisions. And right now we put $25,000 in that budget. And when we spend more money for the Japan, for that program is when they come here, because when we go, they pay the hotel for us and all the meals, and I think we pay the airfare. And the individual students that go raise the money to pay their.
Now, we don't pay any of the students.
No,
I
we're paying you.
didn't think we did.
So it costs us more to bring them here?
It costs us to bring them here because we reciprocate when they come here.
We do the hotels and the meals. And
Yeah, meals and entertainment.
We
yeah.
do, but we get a lot of that donated too. Sure. We work very hard to get a lot of that donated.
Knowing some of the voices that have spoken out about that in the past, I'm just thinking, oh, they can get to go to Japan. So I'm just trying to figure out. how
Oh,
much
it's
that
a
would-
perk.
Yeah,
Well-
so,
It is a perk, but it's also work. A
no,
lot of work,
absolutely.
because you're chaperoning kids.
To say nothing, and I used to do that flight multiple times a year when I lived over there. It's not exactly a pleasure trip.
It's a
flight
work
trip.
It's
trip.
a work trip.
But the point is though that, and I mean, they are technically employees of the city. And so they get whatever benefits that other employees get, which, you know, health insurance, auto allowance, car allowance, and then expenses. So if they have business expenses, they get those covered just like an employee.
They are, and I remember that phrase suddenly coming up in a very condescending way. They're the board of directors. So they get the same perks and privileges that a board of director member might get for any other company, right? And sometimes board of directors are not paid, and sometimes they are paid. So in that regard, yes, but they're not a city employee, and that they're not punching the clock, and they're not reporting to the supervisor. And they are, but they're not.
But I'm just saying, they can take advantage of those same benefits that employees take advantage of.
Absolutely.
You know, by whatever policies vary from time to time, and that's all perfectly appropriate, right? So it's just that base salary, but, you know.
Because they base salary, they get a little bit for gas and a little bit to cover their cell phone, right?
It
Which is
doesn't
blowing
cover
off.
gas, I promise.
But yeah, I mean, that's covering expenses. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
covering expenses, or at least trying to,
I
right?
will tell you that they did take taxes out of the $25.
As well they should.
Yeah. That is before taxes,
Call
definitely.
your congressman if you don't like that.
14 cents an hour.
Yeah, all of
Hey, James
that.
and Shannon, I just want to make sure, can y'all hear us okay?
Yes.
Great, we had some audio issues in this room a few days ago, so just making sure.
Well, I'll just kind of start. I mean, I like. Thank you for providing just some options, including doing nothing. You know, just kind of throw something out there. I mean, you know, I really like the data on, you know, what these other, how many 25 cities in Texas are doing. And it's all over the map, sort of. But when I take out, you know, the big cities, you know, Dallas, San Antonio, Houston, Austin, Fort Worth, well, really even El Paso, you know, get down to really the outlier at that point is Laredo, at least on the mayor's pay, is the only one. Actually, they're an outlier overall. But anyway, I think this is good data, and you know, whether you like a median approach or an average approach, is, you know, it is what it is. I think if you're going to average something, I think you got to take out the big guys, because we're not a million population. But you know, the median comes in at 6,900 for the mayor and 3,600 for the council. And it's a good start.
Oh, and even if you look at living wage, the one number we were presented on living wage by the public was the far extreme. Multiple children, multiple adults in the household. That number gets as low as 26 grand, 27 grand. So that number is close to some of the cost of living adjustment numbers that we've seen. It's close to what some of the other cities are doing. So be careful what you wish for when you ask for living wage. It might not be the number you think it is.
Yeah, it's all over the map too.
How many hours do y'all normally put when you work for city council?
Depends on how much work you want to put into it.
Let's see, the When we doing budget,
Oh, budget,
yep, how many hours we put in?
budget, when we would do budget, but I liked budget,
Oh my God.
so I would put between 50 and 60 hours.
Wow, a lot of hours.
Jim, I think it really,
She really did.
Wow.
I think it really depends on the individual. Because we've got another legislative body in town that is paid more. And one of their members told me years ago, the best perk of the job is 4 hours a month, and you get that salary. So it, regardless of the system we have, we're gonna have people that really burn the midnight oil and do well for their constituents. And we're gonna have those who are there for the prestige of the position, regardless of how much we pay them. So I'm trying to remind myself that regardless of what we decide here, those individuals exist.
Well, you're gonna have council members, and I don't care what you pay them. I mean, I have my thoughts on the whole thing, but you're gonna have council members that work 4 to 5 hours a week, and you're gonna have council members that work 40 to 60 hours a week. And it doesn't matter what you pay them. You're gonna have the ones where their heart's in it, and the ones where their heart's not.
We're not gonna change that reality.
You are not gonna change that.
Right.
I would like to add, as far as the position description, for council members, does it align? Sorry, I have a lot of feedback here. I apologize. But does it align with the work? And I know, Karen, I heard you say that some are going to do more than what some others do, and that's on any job. You have those top percent of employees that are going to be the 20 top, the 60 middle, and then the 20 low. They're just there to get a paycheck. So I think your point is valid there on what they do, the efforts that they put in. But I was just wondering about the position description. Does it align with the pay in a way that when someone is looking at maybe running for one of those seats, does it create a clear picture of the expectation? And now that we're talking about putting a salary to it, or increasing any of the allowances, is that picture clear?
Well, let me just say that it's got to be a service that you give. This is my opinion. I don't look at it as a job, number one. I think there's a lot of people that look at it as a job. I look at it as a service to your community. So either your heart's in it or you want a job. And I think that's the two different ways of looking at it. And the people that look at it as a job are wanting a higher wage. I'm not looking at this as a wage. This is just a, I don't know, maybe something to help you pay dry cleaning, basically. But it's a service to your community. And I understand all of the flip sides that, we could get younger people in here, we could get different ideas in here. But I have thoughts on that, and we can argue that on and on and on and on.
Yeah, the same young people are volunteering to serve on boards and
But
commissions.
you've got people that would want the job that have never even served on a board, but they'll want that paycheck, and it's all about the paycheck, and that's what is so frustrating to me. And part of that is I'm very passionate about city council, and so I have a hard time paying a salary. And trust me when I tell you, You don't make money on city council. I don't care what anybody says. There's nobody slipping you money. And if I made money on LP&L, I need to find that account because I need to thank somebody. But I look at it as a service to the community, not a job. I don't know if I'm getting my point
No,
across.
Karen-
I'm just really passionate about it.
Karen, I agree with you. We can write this down, but I agree with you, but,
I need to write that down. It's like the first time you've ever agreed with me.
I certainly understand increasing the pay. That it needs to be bumped. When I go to decide who I'm going to vote for, I'm not looking at this as I'm hiring someone to do a job. I'm hiring someone to represent me. I'm electing my representative. So I absolutely get your argument there. I see the other side as well. I'm just not convinced that a change from $25 a month to 50, 60, 70 overnight is the way to do it. I think it's a way to ensure that none of this stuff passes. And I'm that. Should it be increased? Should it be $1,000 a month, $2,000? That's kind of where my headspace is. But does it? They're always going to have fun. You're always going to have people putting in the least effort, and we have the polls for that. We've got elections to deal with that. I am really concerned about someone getting into a position where they fight dirty to keep their paycheck coming in. We already have dirty politics. I don't need someone's livelihood on the line at the same time. I don't want that distraction at the same time. And I think if you're passionate about service, you figure it out. You figure it out with your spouse. You figure out how to serve. And yeah, I'm not convinced that we need to go onto the extreme end. I think we do need an increase, but I don't think, like I said, be careful what you wish for in a living wage,
Well,
because there's a wide range of numbers in that living
Well,
wage.
if I may, I see your point of view, because I serve and I try to do it to the best of my ability, and I don't get paid to be here, or any other board that I serve on. Because I want to do it. It takes up of my time, and I'm busy, but I want to give back, and that's how I feel about it. But I also believe that those people who have not ever served on the board, or especially in my district, that they say, well, I want to give this everybody the opportunity to do this without what's the word here? At a $25 minimum, right? They say, well, okay, well, we can't do it. I guarantee you that guy that has never served on the board, has never volunteered for anything, he won't get this position. Because we're educated, man. We're getting there. And so I'm not going to be worried about anybody just stepping up and saying, yeah, I'm going to go get the paycheck, brother, because you're going to have to earn it.
Jim, you're absolutely right. The person still has to get elected.
Amen. But I'm also for a living wage. I don't know what it is, but $25 people is not enough.
Well,
So I have a question. And Karen, I do apologize. So you go ahead.
go ahead.
So my question is, I truly understand that this is a service. Thank you. I do understand that. I do understand giving back. I do understand what the role of the city council person is. If I could just have a little background, and maybe I have it in front of me, but what caused the and I have to take pause on it because the $25. So in my opinion, this is the issue that has caused some of the angst, is the $25 that they are getting at the current time. And if this is a service, and this is a service position, servitude, what, if I could get a little background on why did we put 25, or why was there a $25, I don't know of the right term of pay or what it was, but how did the $25 come about in the first place, if someone could just help me understand?
Well, I can answer that. In 1917, the powers that be back then, that's what they set it at. Well, it's never changed. That's what it was back then, and that's what it's always been. It's $25 for council, $75 for mayor. So it's just never changed. It's always been in the charter. No one's ever touched it.
That's interesting.
That came about. And so.
Why they said it there, we don't know.
Do what?
Can't really say why they said it there.
No, I don't know why they said it there. And probably back then,
$25 is a lot of money.
you know, it could have been a living wage back then, but.
If you take a look, excuse me, Karen, if you take a look just the cost of living adjustment to it, it wasn't an insubstantial amount of money back then.
No, it was a decent amount of money.
It was a decent amount. It was roughly $20,000 a year for mayor, and what am I looking at? $7,000 a year for council member. Not a huge fortune, but it wasn't. It wasn't $25 and $75.
Right. But when you put, if you'll, do you have the sheet where it's got the option 1, 2, and 3?
Yes.
Okay. If you look at that option 3 and then go up to the option 2, the median, you're close.
Mhm.
You're very close. So you know, you can take the median for everybody or the option 3 and you're there, in my opinion.
And the important thing to point out is taxes will still be taken out.
Taxes will still be, and I bet taxes are taken out of all of them.
Yes.
But with the health insurance, and I don't know if we put that in, you know, Amy, and that's a question for you. More than once, when I was on city council, that was the issue of insurance was brought up about being given to council members. Do we need to put that in there? Was that settled? I can't remember.
That's something that we need to.
I'm sorry.
I can't talk about that.
Executive.
Are we in executive?
No, we'll talk about it when we get to
Oh,
it.
okay.
We'll do an executive
Okay.
later on.
But when you have that, you know, the car allowance and the,
The insurance one alone is huge.
yeah.
Yeah.
But when you have those others, that's, to me, that's a pretty good deal.
I guess I don't really have an opinion developed about this, other than if you think there should be an increase somewhere in there, based on, you know, where it started and where we're at now. Should it be a living wage, which is debatable what that is? I mean, we have statistics related to that. No, I don't think so. I have volunteered for boards and have tried to recruit people for boards, and typically the only ones you ever get are the ones that actually want to do the work, and it's and add value. Okay, so adding value, I think, is a big thing. You know, my concern is where do we go from here? So we start paying the council a certain amount, or we make an increase based on our logic and our thoughts. And again, we're just proposing, right?
Mhm.
We're not making any changes. We're proposing. The council gets to do whatever they want. And then or whatever they pass along to the voters, basically, if they do. My concern is, you know, I'm on the Parks and Rec board. Where does that go? Do, you know, somebody all of a sudden decide they need to get paid to be on Parks and Rec? Or, and I don't know, maybe that's a whole different subject or something else. But whatever we suggest, say if you look at option 2, the median, if that was proposed, you know, does that change every time the median changes? You know, and I think there was a comment down here in option 3, would an annual adjustment be included as part of the recommendation? So when the fee was, or the I guess, the pay was set in the beginning. There was no guidance given to change it ever, change it every 6 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 50. Do we put something like that in here as well? Because if we do median, then we're looking at a number that will change, right? Probably.
Absolutely.
That has to be either, and I guess maybe there doesn't have to be language in there as do we change, but that's something we need to consider as well. So anyway, that's.
I couldn't support any kind of recommendation that would put us, kind of at the mercy of what these other 25 cities decide to do down the road.
Right.
And so, I look at that data as like, here's a point in time, here's where everybody's at. And then once we set a number, it's just a number that we select based on whatever data we have in front of us. But yeah, but yes, I absolutely think we put, some kind of adjustment in there. Is it full cost of living? Is it something different? Because if they had done that in 1917, we wouldn't be having this discussion today.
And
So why make another committee do this in 25 years?
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think option 2 is a useful tool. It gives us a benchmark, but it's not an option that I'm keen on simply because it is constantly moving.
Yeah.
At this point in time, this is where we stand and this is what the options are. And so I think it's useful in that regard. What I like about fixing some sort of automatic adjustment to a federal number, whether it's a cost of living adjustment number, whatever it is, pin it to what they do with Social Security, whatever that COLA adjustment is of the year. I think that adjustment needs to be largely out of the hands of the body that is getting paid. So it won't be up to them to make the decision. So whatever number we find that is the issue, either by the state or by the feds, I'm fine with that because again, I don't want my friends' children who sit on this next board to have to deal with this. I'd like to just deal with it. The intent, I understand it's problematic going back to looking at the intent of the people who wrote the original one because they've made a few mistakes since then that we're fixing. But the intent appears to be that this is a community service job. And we're still, yes, we're a larger city, but we're not a large city. $250,000 is not insubstantial. And I think when we get to $500,000, that's when maybe we start talking about a serious pay increase. So we're not there. We're not going to be there for a while. So this is still largely a volunteer gig, as near as I can tell, and ain't nothing wrong with volunteers in this community. An awful lot of good work happens with that. So, or the 7 of us would be sitting here. Well, most of us sitting here.
I think that what Jeff brought up was a really great point, that it's something that we add in the recommendation of having a parameter around it based upon, some type of adjustments. And I also, adjustments when needed. And I also think that the dollar amount has the explanations, or maybe not explanation, but it shows what's included in that amount. Because I have to tell you, until I heard today of these insurance, car allowance, phone, travel expense, I wasn't aware of that. So I think if those things are included and we create that clear picture of what the city council person is included in that allowance, to me, that would show the transparency and know that it's not a salary, if you will, but these are the things that are included in that.
Shannon, if you delineate the fringe benefits in this language, are you concerned with locking in the value of those fringe benefits? Or is it sufficient to simply say, this is your salary in addition to regular benefits provided to city of Lubbock employees, or something like that?
Yes, William, I think that would suffice instead of putting a dollar amount beside each one, but maybe identifying what they are.
So would it be, could we do something along the lines of including health insurance, vehicle and cell phone, I've lost the term, but including A, including B and C, and other such benefits that are regular for a city of Lubbock employees. Give a little wiggle room, because I really hate to, we don't know what the perks and benefits are going to be in 10 years.
Right.
There could be transporters that we use free of charge to go from A and B, and I hate for the city council to be stuck waiting for a cab because we forgot to include transporter capability. So we don't know what they will all be, but let's at least delineate and say, these are some of the ones they are getting today, and there may be others.
And William, perhaps we could use some language around, sorry, the word isn't coming to my mind at the moment, but some things around as needed in order to perform the duties of a council member, city council member.
Okay, that I understand that. That makes sense. That gives you some transparency with flexibility in explaining that we're not just throwing these perks out willy-nilly. This is because of their job. In order for them
Absolutely. Absolutely.
additional things without going into specific numbers.
Sorry for my absence. In terms of the benefits we're talking about, how do they arrive where city council today gets cell phone and car allowance?
That would be something I need to discuss.
Okay.
There's one thing, and I don't know if this is the place, but there's one thing in here that talks about if a council member doesn't show up, they have to forfeit $10 per meeting if they're absent, and
Unexcused absence.
Yes.
That's a large percentage.
well, it
If
was,
you're unexcused
but it-
work, it's always.
but let me tell you, number one, it's never enforced.
Right.
So you're either going to raise the $10 and enforce it, or you're gonna take it out. One of the two.
I mean, the enforcement mechanism happens every 4 years. That's
Huh?
mine. The enforcement mechanism happens every 4 years. Elections. You're not showing up,
Well,
not
then
doing
take
your
it
job.
out of here,
Yeah, no, I'm saying I agree that,
because if
you know,
it's in here and no mayor is going to enforce it. So get it out.
I mean, on the benefits and stuff, I mean, and I think what Shannon is saying, and I don't want to speak for her, but, you know, assuming that legal, you know, has the same thought that I'm thinking, is that they're treating, you know, for the most part, they're treating council members as employees and making benefits that are generally available to everybody else to council members also. I mean, that kind of language, you know, unless it got us twisted off in some legal issue, you know, gives the council, you know, the ability to provide benefits, but only if they're willing to provide them to all the employees.
Yeah.
So they couldn't just sit around and go, well, hey, the 7 of us want this benefit, but the 3,000 employees don't get that. And so I think if you put language in there that just said, you know, whatever benefits you provide to the employees in a whole, council members get it.
Because I would assume if you're traveling on behalf of the city, you're going to a conference on waste management, that the city picks up the travel expenses for that conference, would be my assumption. So these are not unusual.
Like every employer.
Right, yeah. Yeah, go out to dinner, but make sure it's only $10, that sort of thing. Right, depends on the employer.
But, but those same kind of policies, if the city has those policies for traveling employees, those policies ought to apply to council members as well, right?
And there are budgetary constraints with those policies.
Sure.
So what is the travel budget for our city council members restricted to a travel budget per member? How does it work?
We, I would not say they're restricted and we don't have a policy in place, but for last year's budget, we budgeted $3,800 per council member. We budgeted more, $10,000 for the mayor because the mayor is attending a lot of legislative things, attends way more functions. This year we're gonna try to budget just one lump sum based on those numbers, but on occasion we'll have a city council member representing on a board like Texas Municipal League. And that council member, and that's based on city business, they're an officer on Texas, they're gonna travel more obviously for that. So we're gonna put it all in one lump sum. It's not like, oh, you can't go past this number. Some are not gonna use it all, some are gonna use a little bit more.
I don't know what number we're gonna come up with, but this is some really good discussions going on right now. And I totally agree. Majority of it, I totally agree. But only thing that I want to do is give them a little bit more money. I don't want to make it, what do you call it, because it's not a job.
A living wage, they're not for a living wage.
I want something, but I don't want this $25 has got to go.
I think we're in pretty much consensus that we're gonna move it up somewhere, whether it's kind of the average median of cities our size, throwing out the high and the low, or we take what was $25 in 1917 and make it what it is today.
That's about the.
I heard you on Zoom, that you were close, taking
Yeah,
both of
we're
those.
close. Either one.
We've had a couple discussion points run into, we might need to go into executive session. I wonder if we should go into executive to get those
Some
discussion
legal
points out of the
questions
way,
answered.
get those legal questions answered, and then come back to the general and talk based on what we've heard.
It's 12:20. We're allowed to do that. What's the hard stop? Somebody have a hard stop we've got to be kind of done by?
12:50 for me.
12:50. Let's try to wrap up our discussion by then. Anybody have any other discussion or any objection to going during the closed session? Shannon, you okay with that?
Yes.
Do we have do you have the number for executive session or closed session? You did?
Shannon does.
Okay, we'll adjourn at 12:21 into executive session.
Recess.
I'm sorry, recess, yes. Okay, Shannon's back. We're back in the open session. We're still discussing compensation of mayor and city council members. Looks like from the discussion, we kind of left option 1, left option 4 on the side. We're trying to figure out how to make 2 and 3 work. Is that kind of where we are?
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion on kind of how to get closer to the consensus or decision?
Either one, whichever one y'all want to go with. They're close enough that.
Not really, though.
I mean, they're not really though. The median on option two, we'll talk about the mayor, the council's about a third, $6,900.
That's a month? What do you?
No, that's a year.
Here.
So, and then the adjusted amount from 1917 is 20,000.
But you talk about, but the average, maybe Ken, talking about the average.
Yeah, I mean, it's closer if you look at the average, but again, I think that's why it's just a useful tool and not really something to base policy on. Because just those two functions in Excel work so radically differently to change the number.
What's that?
The median versus the
Yeah.
average. It's a tool. You strip out the top 5 cities in Texas, and
Yeah.
the ballpark is different, significantly different. COLA, or the cost of living adjustment plus a little bit this first go around, I don't know. It needs to be higher for sure. Option 2 is just, yeah, that's statistics, but that doesn't mean anything.
Let's just circle around option 3, because Karen's right. If you look at the average, it is just a number, it is statistics, but it does, I don't know if it validates our option 3, but it seems to, they're close. But I like Jeff's comment earlier, is there a way to help out future councils? Is there some type of, I don't know if it's cost of living or some type of adjustment, or maybe we put language in there that allows them to make adjustments?
Well, I think you got to make it mandatory, otherwise you get the council in the position of voting for their own rate.
Their own pay raise,
Which
yeah.
is politically.
I'm not a fan of that, but if you tie it to a metric.
You know what?
County commissioners do.
Yeah.
Well,
Three of them
right.
are there.
No, I think that, and I think you find the metric, whether it's a federal cost of living adjustment number, whether it's the number they do to Social Security every few, I don't know what that number is. I think you tie it to something automatic
Mr. Chair,
and reasonable.
we use the CPI inflation calculator.
Okay.
It is what finance did for me.
Then if we're already using that, and we can pin it to that.
CPI is an external index that's commonly used in the industry.
Real estate, we use that
We use
every
it
year.
in contracts, we use it for wage,
And it is
wage
adjusted
determinations,
annually.
things like that.
It's adjusted monthly. You can go get a monthly number anytime you want.
But y'all could in language tie it on a time determinative, such as on an annual basis to coincide with the budget or something like that.
Whatever index the budget uses, so if the CPI inflation calculation somehow like LIBOR goes away, the city's gonna replace it with some type of index, so we could tie the budget index to this index.
Yeah, I was just, I guess, before the last series of comments there, I was just wondering, is that something we would adjust every year, or would it be by term? Or, I don't know. It makes sense to do it every year, I think.
It's easy.
You're doing a budget
a year,
I
yeah.
think you budget
Put
it
it as
every
an
year.
automatic
keep
adjustment
going.
in the budget.
The city employees are just, if there's going to be a change in the city employees, it's done in the budget.
And it's,
It's not-
that goes
It's not
October first.
necessarily every year.
Not
It has not
necessarily, but
happened
if there
every
is
year.
one, it's not double.
Yes.
Right. It is handled in the budget.
Yes.
cycle.
Yes.
You could also, without even saying an index, you could also say, whatever the average is for the employees for that budget year, whatever the average change for the employees is, that's what you use for council.
Well, that-
No,
That's true, because there's not a single council member that's gonna raise it.
well, because they don't do it every year.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, did it?
Well, you do open the door to the possibility of the council getting a raise, but I'm not getting a raise.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. What about?
You don't like what though? Tie it to the city employees.
If the employees get a raise, then
It's the same percentage.
Can you tie it to CPI, but only if the employees get a raise?
Or the lesser CPI or that. That would guarantee they never get a bigger raise.
That's true.
Everybody knows.
We ran into that with superintendent one time, because superintendent was on different calendar for their contract, and the superintendent got like a 4% raise. But voted on it like in March, and it went into effect in July. And then we did budget,
The city employees get
and the city employees got like 1%. Well, we had to go back in and and fix it. And it was an unintended consequence. But that's kind of where I think I want to try to stay out of is we tie it to CPI and it's 4%, and city employees get 2%. Then you kind of got some.
And that if we can do it less with the 2 language.
There's
That's
something in there.
compromise, that works.
There's a deal in there somewhere, whether it's that or whether you tie it to the city employees get 2, council gets 2. I'm open for either one.
Or do we just tie it, but they're not employees, want to separate that language?
And Courtney pointed out that on occasion, and Bill and Amy know this, the raises are really cost of living, but on occasion with a 3%, which is really a cost of living, they try to make it in the organization be on merit. You have this pool of money, but you have to do merit. So that's it's hard for us to tie the council to
There was one
that
year where
merit.
they got just a flat, what was it, $500 across the board.
Yeah.
It just depends on
Yeah.
the economy. It really does.
What if we do?
Bill, how many employees are there in the city?
Just over 2,300. Full-time.
But going back to my example, it might be a flawed example because the superintendent is an employee of the district, much like the city manager is an employee of the city. So maybe you tie council to just the index.
And
And
it's not
just-
that much money in the career. It's not.
That's
like-
right.
It's not like a 3% increase for 2,300.
They're in a different category as a public servant or whatever you call it versus an employee. So that way, if you tie it to what the employees get, now you're tying them closer to being an employee. So maybe you don't. Maybe you just tie it to the index and just leave it.
Well, and particularly if we don't go with, quote, a living wage, if you don't, because, those employees are hopefully making that, not what we're paying council, so it makes sense to not, what's not.
If the employees don't get a raise and the council does, I don't care.
No,
what
you're-
your opinion.
You're right,
How do you do that?
the optics will be bad. You're
I'm
absolutely
just
right about that.
that.
There is not a single option that wins on this piece of paper.
I'm just wondering if you don't review it, if you just review it maybe, or bring it up to the cost of living adjustment maybe every 10 years, 5 years, and don't do it every year.
Just a real forklift every 5 to 10 years as opposed to a gradual increase.
Yeah, just setting a firm number like we have currently with some adjustment based on,
Adjusted
and that was kind of back to my term comment
5
earlier.
to 10 years.
But
If you do that, though, then you have
Just a
disparate,
charter.
well, then you have disparate compensation, right? Karen gets elected at 21.
That's true.
Her comp's this.
No,
Mike gets
I'd love to do it that way for that reason, but.
They've always had a
I agree.
They figured the new elections as a new council, regardless of how long you've been on it. The phrase has always been the new council. So I think you can get away, you can not have that if you simply say every 2 years or every election cycle, you do an adjustment. That would be every 2 years. Yeah, it would have to be a regular election cycle.
Well, maybe that's the compromise, is you do it not every year, so employees aren't comparing their rates. It's every 2, every 5, every 10, whatever that number is, whatever that.
Would you do an automatic adjustment based on automatic cost of living adjustment?
I'd
Every-
got to the
every 2
CPI
years?
inflation
Yeah,
calculation.
How often?
Every council?
So every 2 years.
I don't know, I just think, I've just seen years where the employees didn't get a raise, and I'm serious, you raise the
No, I-
council $10, and it's just not.
The same thing you got with LSD.
Oh, I just don't
Okay.
think it's good
The
enough.
options are bad. It's not good.
I would
There's
not
a way,
want
there
that.
may be a way to fix this. Do we give them the option to raise? No, the option to not accept the cost of living adjustment for that
They
council.
have that now, don't they?
Not giving them the option to not take the paycheck, but
You said
No,
Allow-
no, just, are you talking about adjusting it, whether to take the?
we do an automatic adjustment every 2 years, and the council can vacate that adjustment.
Or I think it would be,
Boy, that's bringing a lot of
It'll make
politics
it very
into it.
political.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take it, I expect you not to take it either. I think you create
Mhm.
an unintended consequence.
No, I,
They're gonna have the Michael Wards of the world.
the Burley-Owens and the Michael Wards of the world. I
Well,
understand.
taking notes like, okay, Karen took the last 3 increases, Bill didn't.
Well, no, actually, I wouldn't do it per person, I would do it per council. And that would allow them the opportunity to not take the pay increase if the employees aren't getting a pay increase. That's where I'm heading, I don't think it's clean, and I don't see any solution that doesn't solve.
I think it injects politics into it, whether it's
This entire
unanimous council.
process injects politics into it, but you're right.
Could the council do that? If this is a legal opinion, just cut me off. I mean,
whatever the charter says, is what they govern by. So if the charter says
So
to
the
get it,
answer, we're not gonna tell you.
they get it. If you say that they have to do a vote in order to get it,
they won't
I mean,
get
it has to be spelled out in that way. If it was going to be whether they take the raise or not. I mean, it's a different analysis on whether you accept the salary or not. That would be, you just don't accept it as an individual thing. But as far as the amount being paid, that's determined by the charter.
And that's the cover, you make it automatic. They're gonna get the pay raise, they decide not to increase the city salaries, they have no choice, they're gonna get the pay raise. A council will get their pay raise. I don't see a version of this equation that does not involve bad politics at some point.
Some are better
But
than
that's, yeah, some are better than others.
Because they could, take the increase or take their pay and then go donate it, which is also a political move. Could be construed as that.
It's all.
Yeah. So
Anything we do.
yes.
Any response or anything related to
I mean,
this?
I'm looking for the least bad grenade.
Yes.
So-
I think we're reading a lot more into it. Is that, I mean, just a simple cost of living adjustment. And I mean, I'm talking charter language in the charter. Here's a number, and it gets adjusted annually. I mean, that's easy to understand. People get that. I get the possibility of the employee thing, but inserting that language into the charter, I think you just make it an issue by saying, well, unless the employees don't get that.
Yeah.
Can I make a suggestion, one?
Yes, sir, please.
If you do every 2 years and do it as an automatic, it's not directly tied to the budget. It's budgeted, but it's not considered a budget item. So you could separate it that way and get away with that, I think.
I think that's
Do the
fair.
adjustment at the start of the new council?
But for example, you do it May 1st when you do swear-ins.
You just whatever the CPI inflation every 2 years.
And it divorces those two conversations by 6 months.
I would.
I could probably live with that.
To the next meeting after the.
The first meeting.
That's what they do with the mayor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a
But it's not something they have to vote on.
No.
No.
It's the first meeting after.
It's an ascertaining an effective date.
It's just
Right.
effective.
Okay, that's a good
That's a great
recommendation.
I like that.
I like that.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's-
Jim, Bill?
Good job.
Bill?
You can go now.
Yeah.
It does.
That's a good idea.
Shannon, any comment on that?
I like that, and Bill, you don't have to leave. Good job.
There you
Well,
go.
there's other reasons.
I think you've been outvoted though.
We're gonna adjust it. We just don't know what we're adjusting yet.
Exactly. But every
So
2
what are
years,
we
it makes
adjusting?
sense.
So what are we adjusting?
My vote's option 3.
It seems to me we keep circling around to it.
Here's my only problem with number 3. And it gets back to the data on the other side, is that, the city of Houston, biggest city in the state, they're a strong mayor type of government. They're paying their mayor $20,000, which, I mean, he's the CEO essentially, right?
Yes, sir.
And so, putting the Lubbock mayor in that same dollar amount just kind of feels wrong.
Well, but my counter to that would be, all we're doing is taking the original intent of the charter in 1917.
Oh, yeah.
And truing it up, maybe a bad choice, but truing it up to today's dollars. And then giving future councils the ability to kind of keep that going, and we kind of take this off for future adjustment, unless somebody wants to come back in and make it a living wage.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. Houston's not the model city I want to be.
Well,
I
you
just,
don't often hear that, it's more like Houston.
Yeah.
But I think when you take a look at the top of the list, they are an anomaly.
they are.
It's almost statistically, you have to throw them out.
They're an outlier at the bottom.
They are absolute, yeah.
I mean, just like Austin's the outlier at the top to me.
But we're not tied to that difference between 1917 and now. We can still set a number and then from there make your adjustments.
Oh, yeah, we can set the number at $2,000 a month for the mayor and, $600 a month for council. I mean, we don't have to go to this exact dollar amount to tie it. But I think I like option 3 better than I do 2.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If we're getting down to kind of like, let's settle on kind of what we're going to pay. 1, we're going to do something, so 1's out. Living wage, I don't hear a consensus on living wage, so we're down to 2 and 3.
My problem with living wage, just looking at the numbers provided to us, living wage based on what? Do we count the number of children they have and pay them that? It's all
Well,
over the map.
I go back to what Karen said at the beginning. This is the intent is this isn't a job.
Correct.
The job is for city staff, the city manager down. This is a public service. We're trying to compensate them for reimbursements, like you said, for dry cleaning, stuff like that. So I think 4 is out.
I understand the desire for 4. I do. I can support 3, I can't support 4. We've all, not just city boards, we've all served on nonprofit boards. We've all put in an awful lot of time serving those nonprofit boards. For some of us, it was practically a full-time job in addition to their real job. This is about service in support of the community to further the community. And we have that in Lubbock. There are people in all parts of town that are doing that. 3 makes it easier. 3 makes it easier.
Now, I gotta make sure that you guys understand where we're coming from too. As a District 1 and District 2, Latinos don't have a whole lot of money. So, I wanna make it to where it can be beneficial. Keep in mind, some districts, they don't need the money. And some people who are city councilmen, they don't need it. Now, I understand where these guys are coming from. I get it. I do know we need to pay them more. It cannot be $25 a month. There's got to be something that if I or anybody in our districts, 1 or 2, which are poor districts, they just say they want to run, and they're in their 60s, something livable. And that, okay, it's not a job, but I also understand that we're going to hold you accountable. But I want to make sure, guys, that we give them something. I mean, a livable, what is this? A car allowance, 125. I mean, please, that's nothing. I mean, I cannot make a living on $125 or $100 phone allowance, and then a couple of business or travel expenses. I mean, guys, I've traveled and I've spent, it ain't enough. So if we come to a conclusion, just make it something where it's decent. It don't have to be a whole lot of money, but it's got to be something that I think is decent.
Do you have a recommendation?
Kind of, sort of. I'm with most of you guys. I don't want it to be a livable wage, but something, I see this medium income when in the average, the mayor's 20 grand. If the city council's 14, that's what, $1,100 a month? That's with benefits or without benefits? What are we talking about?
That's plus benefits. That's just compensation. So bennies would be insurance, cell phone allowance, car allowance.
So if we can do, and it's just me, you make the mayor 30 grand and the city council 15 or 16. That's me. That's like, if you break that 14,000, that's $1,100 a month. Or if we leave it at the average at 20 grand, for the mayor, $1,700 a month.
If you take a look at the cost of living adjustment for the mayor right now, we're looking at, call it just 20,000 round number, which is the average salary in Texas for a mayor. The disparity, the real difference appears to be on the council member side, 6,700 versus 1,400.
That's what I was looking at, because, so the 25 and the 75 basically means the mayor's making 3 times the council members.
Right.
That's inconsistent with the rest of the data that we're seeing, is that, you know, and mathematically about double, but it's not exactly that, but it's closer to double than triple. And so I guess that's, you know, where do we want that to fall? Karen, I mean,
Do we jump the council a little bit?
do we what?
Bump the council?
Well, I'm just saying, do you get that closer? I mean, whether you adjust one down and the other up, I don't know, but is double the right number? Is triple the right number?
You know,
Triple in the beginning.
Do what?
I said
Well, it's triple in the beginning,
it was triple.
but that's not consistent with the data we're looking at today either. It really doesn't matter whether you look at the low or the high. It's hardly ever triple.
Our problem with option 2 was if we continue to do that calculation over time, there's not much going.
Right, no, I'm not suggesting.
But what if we do a point in time, we start off with the average and then do the cost of living adjustment annually from there? That gets us to, we'll call it 21,000 and 14,000, which is in line, at least on the mayor's side, with the cost of living adjustment. And it's a more significant adjustment on the council member side.
24 and 14.
Something like
20
that.
and 14.
20 and 14, 21 and 14, something like that. Slightly higher, and then we do the cost of living after that.
Plus benefits.
No one's touching benefits. No one's touching the benefits.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So I could probably live with that. I mean,
Thanks. Shannon?
Yes, I would also like to add, if we're looking at increasing the mayor to that level, then we have a city manager. So would the mayor's salary get close to the city manager? And then, okay, thank you, McDougal. I see that it won't, but I saw you. I'm just wondering, that's where we look at those roles, the duties and responsibilities. And I'm just sitting here and I'm hearing you say District 1 and District 2, we have to give them something, I don't disagree with the something, but I don't want us to think that District 1 and District 2, the people that have the potential or even have a desire to become city council members would not be looking at this as a position or as a job and as their total household income. So I don't want us to paint that picture as well, because there are individuals that have that potential and they know what they have to embark on and what it takes to run their households. So this would definitely not be a job. So I don't want us to pigeonhole because of the district that you live in, saying, you know, maybe the other districts may not need it. So I just want to caution that, and I have concern with that type of language around it.
Shannon, I can certainly appreciate your concern and appreciate your sentiment there. But I think the only change that we've talked about in the last few minutes is when you look at things, the adjustment to a council member is it could be a little higher. I haven't heard we heard one number thrown out for the mayor at 30. Even at 30, in our form of government, that does not approach anywhere near what the city manager is making. So we're not significantly adjusting the role of the mayor.
No, and I think we need to remember the mayor and council work together. The mayor, other than he's really, I mean, I guess the voice, he doesn't have any more pull or power than the count. It takes 4 to do anything.
Yep.
And the council has no say-so with any employee of the city, period. The city manager answers to 4 city council members.
City manager, CEO, and the mayor is more than the head chairman. That kind of-
Yeah, so it's not,
Board of directors.
the mayor doesn't have any more power than a city council member.
Yeah.
He has one vote and a voice, just like the rest of them. So I think
And so
that's
3 times
getting
the
out of
salary,
whack.
and I think 3 times the salary reinforces that belief that the mayor is he's got a lot of extra
He
power.
doesn't have any more power.
Maybe.
Or she.
Or she.
Wow.
Or she. We've had.
Something coming up?
No, I'm just saying.
Whole nother
She has a
amendment.
female.
Uh-oh.
We have.
I mean, I was gonna do the same math you did, Bill, except I was gonna do it the opposite way. I was gonna take the council member, 1917 forward, I was around 6,800, and then double that for the mayor, versus taking the mayors and raising the council member.
And see, I like that much better than,
And the only reason I say that is because I think that recognizes that, yeah, the mayor spends more time because he goes to more functions,
Right.
represents the city. But as far as legislating, he's got the same power. So I like the double more than the triple. And so, and you kind of have to discount that that's the way it started.
What's it looking like? What's the numbers?
Well, based on that, it's 67.
114,600 or 6,814,000. Going to use a round number. 7,000.
16,800, 14,000.
I don't know. Is that a motion?
Do what?
I mean, if you want to go there, yeah. I mean, I'd say, and I'm just going to round number just for ease, and just say set a council member compensation at $7,000 annually, and the mayor at 14.
You want to vote on these?
I can work this one.
No person, so we're just discussing.
Oh, we're not discussing. I withdraw my pretend motion.
And we'll post it for
We
guidance.
post next
But
time.
we've got to give staff some direction to write something, right?
I think that we can.
Okay, all right. Any other discussion on that? Karen, anything? Bill?
I'm good.
Shannon?
I'm good.
Okay, any other discussion on section 3.1 or 3.2?
Is there anything else in section 14? Sorry, it's one paragraph.
no, we do need to.
We talked about taking out the
write
$10.
something about taking out that,
That's just.
Or the penalty for
Take
not
out
attending.
yeah, please take that out. I guess as long as everybody's okay with that, there's just, to my knowledge, that's never, as long as I know, that's never been enforced, so.
I think it becomes a little difficult because of open meetings to be able to vote on something and just in 72 hours advance to do the vote.
Yeah,
So that kind of, it's hard to excuse and
Cleans it up.
Just out of
let's
curiosity,
just take that out.
I've certainly seen the letters from the city secretary's office on the board side of the house, but how often would board members for the
Board
attendance
members?
policy?
We do have a policy for board members that they attend 70% of their meetings.
Something like that.
So there is a policy that, I will have to say that since I've been city secretary, I have not seen on the council side anybody missing more than one a year or so, and it was some reason they didn't miss. I have not seen any abuse of that on the city council side.
There used to be a deal, if you're on a city board and you missed 3 consecutive meetings, you got booted
Yeah,
automatically.
it was.
Yeah,
I know a friend that happened to.
I think the
I heard
current
about that.
language though throws the word unexcused or there's some kind of a, if you didn't make it because you didn't tell us in advance you were gonna be there, that sort of thing.
Well, it's hard to go with excused or unexcused.
Yeah,
Who
this is
determines-
just, that's bad.
Yeah, and who
That's-
determines if it is excusable or not excusable, it's a really tough situation.
The current policy does not, for boards and commissions, does not specify unexcused or unexcused.
They're not,
Yes.
what I heard.
We can look at it and decide. Yes.
Although I'll have to say, city staff did a fantastic job of highlighting the fact that I was late to the public. I have my own line.
We do that to the council as well. It just,
Yeah.
Actually, with the chair.
well,
You may have, but it's still, it's very.
Okay, section 4, we got minutes from April 15th.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
do you want a 3.2, do we need to discuss the next meeting? day,
Oh,
or do we
yeah, let's
have
do
that
that.
already?
Let's do
I
that.
remember Ms. Spencer indicating that she cannot do Wednesdays. I did talk to Jeff before he left, and he has no conflicts next week as far as the date.
Other than Wednesday?
Ms. Spencer, is that correct? You cannot attend Wednesdays? Ms. Spencer, is that true that you cannot attend Wednesdays moving forward?
At this moment, yes.
I'm out of town. Yeah.
I mean, stuff other than Wednesday, but.
13th, what is it? I mean, we may have to do the 11th. I'm sorry,
Tuesday?
the 12th. We have to do the 12th.
Oh, no.
Okay, you're at the 12th. Okay, so we have 2 after 12. What about the 13th?
Ms. Spencer, how does the 13th look?
Give me 1 second, I'm sorry. I have 2 appointments that day. I wouldn't be able to. The 12th and the 13th of May is out for me.
You say you're out on the 10th?
About on the 11th, or the city council meeting, right?
City council.
14th is Friday.
Would y'all want to do a later meeting and not a lunch meeting, or is that also not working? Later on.
I'm good with later on the 12th.
Could you do later on the 12th, Ms.
Actually, I'm
Spencer?
good with the 12th at all.
That is a Wednesday.
On the
Late, like 5.
On the 12th? I do it anytime after lunch.
on the 12th, anytime after 3 or 2. But that whole morning I'm out.
How about 3-ish? 3 o'clock?
I'm available probably at 4:30. 4:30?
4:30?
What day?
12.
Well, yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, let's do that. Then you can have it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the
4:30, how about that,
on the 12th.
ma'am?
Okay.
As soon as I can confirm that this room is booked, I will get it on, we'll make sure it gets on your calendars. And if it's not in this room, we'll make it clear.
Does that work for city staff, the 12th, 4:30?
Yes.
Okay, what topic, what's next on our, sir?
Anything you say works.
We make it work.
What's next? What's next on our agenda? We outlined kind of an agenda, what would be next on that topic?
Cleanup?
How we coming on cleanup?
I have someone in our office looking at it. I would rather that be a little bit later because it is very.
Okay.
I do believe we could look at issues that were brought up in the 2010 Charter Review Committee.
Are we far enough along with last week's discussion to be able to review that next time?
To review whatever you all brought up, and yes.
Yes.
I
Do we
think
wanna,
so.
do we wanna vote on it? Do we wanna vote on these individually, or do we wanna have a meeting at the end and collectively kind of hit the things we wanna vote on?
Good question.
And one thing that we found out this week is that we have electronic voting, and there is a limit to the number of characters. It might be a big limit. I mean, 10,000 characters, it may or may not be until,
That includes spaces, it's not.
yes.
So that may affect a little bit what we're looking at, being able to do
Proposition language.
proposition language.
Okay, can you tack that on to the cleanup discussion so
Uh-huh.
we kind of know? That'll affect what we want to clean up and what we don't, I think, if we're limited.
Well, I think it's per proposition.
It's per proposition.
It's per proposition.
Just throw it into the bucket of cleanup and we'll
Right.
tackle it there in terms of what characters and all that. Mike, what's on your list? What do you have?
Well, I mean, I have cleanup, but I mean, a lot of the 2010, I mean, as I look through there, a lot of that to me was cleanup too. But we can go through that
Yes.
section by section and
There are a few things that I've looked at that we would need to change from the 2010. For example, looking at Article 2A of the charter is duplicative of a section in Article 2. I think that cleanup needs to be a little bit different in order to conform with state law, since it is kind of referencing state law. So that would be something that would be a little bit different from 2010.
What's that topic? Is it a particular
It's
topic?
on the street assessments.
Okay, looking ahead, the week of the 17th, I'm out the 19th through the 21st, so Monday, the 17th, or the afternoon of the 18th are gonna be probably times we need to probably settle around.
18th and then on 25th is perfect because I'm 26th and 28th, I'm out.
We cannot do the 25th, that is a city council meeting.
Okay, so let's kind of 17th or 18th. I'd rather do the 17th at 11.
Monday,
Y'all do a lunch meeting on that one?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Spencer, does the 17th work for you?
I won't be available until 1 on the 17th. The 17th and the 18th, I'm doing training until the 1 o'clock.
So you want to do a late lunch at 1 o'clock?
It's fine.
that'd be fine.
Mike gets lunch. Worried about you.
What day did y'all decide?
17th.
17th at 1 o'clock. And then Jimmy's out 26th. Oh, is that right?
I can do, I fly out at 4 o'clock on the 26th. So we do it early, we can do it, or the 25th or 24th.
we have the 24th penciled in at some point.
Can we do Monday? That'd be fine with
That's
us.
the 24th.
Shannon, can you do Monday at 11 or on the 24th?
Sorry, it'll have to be after 1. I have a 5-day training.
Okay, you want to do 1 o'clock on Monday, the 24th?
If everybody's okay with flexing for me, thank you.
We're okay with it. Let's do it. Yeah,
Anyway,
1 o'clock?
slip out of another board meeting earlier.
Okay.
And then if we want to hit our target, maybe I'd like to see us maybe wrap either the 31st or the 1st.
31st is Memorial Day.
Oh, that's right. But do you want to? Once we could get our work done by the 24th.
Want to post for possible voting on the 24th and extend if we need more time?
We could do that. What's the latest we could do that?
I'm sorry.
June 4th, isn't that when the council meeting is?
8.
Is it the 8th?
It's
Well, no,
June- The council meeting
Bill was
is
asking
June
if
8.
the 24th was the date we wanted to peg for like our vote for what we want to record. Like that's our final meeting, we're wrapping it up.
It gives us the option of one more meeting if we need the time.
Right.
Is June 8th the council
8th.
meeting that we're supposed to report?
Yes.
Yes, so y'all have
Well, I'd
that.
say you're gonna have to wrap by the 24th.
Right by the 24th, and then if
That's
y'all
2
need
weeks.
another meeting that following week to discuss what we're y'all presenting.
We can certainly use a meeting for strategy, I imagine, but we'll need the 2 weeks for presentations and all that.
I'm saying, I'll send it to James.
With
that meeting.
Yes, sir. You voted in, sir. James,
That's my strategy.
I'm out of town though.
Well, we can start, posting for action whenever on some of these, or bring it all at once. Because I think bringing it all at once, we'll go ahead and post for citizen comments on that day and have that as well. If y'all are voting.
Okay. So I'd like we'll do 24th, whatever our drop dead date is, post to possible vote. And if not, we won't post it for vote, and then the second will be kind of our last meeting.
What day?
June 2nd,
If we need it.
if we need it.
Okay.
At 11 or 1?
11 is what I'd like on the second. Okay. Any other discussion on meeting dates?
Okay, 17th is what time?
1 p.m.
Okay.
The 24th is 1 p.m.
Okay, thank you.
The June 2nd will be the 11th.
11 a.m.
If we need it. Okay, we have minutes from April 15th Charter Review Public Hearing, April 21st Charter Review Committee Meeting, April 26th Charter Review Committee Meeting. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Motion, a second. Any discussion?
Great
All
job on whoever wrote those, on kind of getting our consensus on paper.
Jimmy made it back here.
Who?
Jimmy,
Thank you, Jimmy.
Good job, my brother.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Hearing none, minutes are passed. It is, if there's nothing else to come before the Charter Review Committee for the City of Lubbock, it is 1:14. We are adjourned.
Thank you.